what you said there, because you can't put a deadline on someone else's pain, right? You can't be the one to invalidate or validate how long someone needs to dissect something or break something down. And I think that's such a great point. And you're right that I think.
But as long as it's realistic, do you know what I mean? Like some people just they just are negative. They just have like a dark cloud over them because they've created that cloud. But that's realistically not their reality. You look at them and you're like, what are you talking about? And if it was something from 5 or 10 years ago, you're like, okay, babe, we gotta, not that we're putting a deadline on it, but let's start working through it.
Yeah.
Let's not sit in the beginning stages of whatever's holding you back.
So it's the balance that you're talking about. It's a balance. It's not either or.
Correct.
Because you can't just talk about it forever and you're not doing anything about it.
Right.
At the same time, you can't say, oh, get over it today.
Right.
It's that balance.
Like I can't stand people that are like eating a bucket of like Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Like, I'm so fat. And like they won't work out. They won't change their diet. They won't drink more water. They won't whatever. But they're complaining. I'm like, well, you're always going to be in this victimized state because you're literally not doing you're not being self-aware. You're not even looking at your own reflection saying, okay, what can I do to change things about myself? It's everybody else's fault.
And what would you say to someone who's in that situation, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's their physical, their emotional, their mental, how do we then talk to that person or coach them with compassion out of that? Like you've done a lot of that work. How do you do that with someone else in the same way as we do with ourselves? Like what would you say to them?
It really does come from within. I think whenever people do things for other people, it's always, you're setting yourself up for failure. I think you really genuinely have to want to change areas of your life. And if you don't, just be happy with who you are. I don't care physically what you look like, your weight, whatever, as long as you're healthy and happy, do you. But I know for me, I was overweight I was unhealthy for a lot of my life. And then when I was like, I started going to the gym during my divorce, like a significant and consistent amount for my mental. I needed a release and I needed to feel strong. And I just needed to get rid of all of these thoughts. And I wanted to be alone. And the only place to really be alone was being on an elliptical with headphones in my ears and kind of just vibing out. And as a side effect, I started losing weight. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this, like, losing weight. And it then became like just some competitive weird streak in me that it was like, I want to see if I can get arm muscles. I want to see, like, it started that, but that was never my goal. Was never, I want to look good in a bikini. That was never my goal. It was, I just wanted to feel good mentally. And I think when you start putting yourself first, you start feeling so much better. There's not a size clothes that you have to fit into. It's just, then you start exploring things like, wow, I like how I feel when I drink more water. I like how I feel when I pray in the morning. And because of that, you start to become happier and lighter. And then you start to want to do more things, be more active, socialize more, whatever it is.